The Great Awakening has begun. Hi guys, in this video I'm going to give you 6 signs that I believe the Great Awakening has begun and what you should be looking out for. Now, I really encourage you to do your own research on this and just see how the old ways are actually now starting to crumble. And it's a very exciting time. Of course, at the moment it's also a very scary time because of what's been going on. But if you look at it really closely, you can actually feel really empowered and in control. So let's get into the first sign. So the first sign that this Great Awakening has begun is people are starting to not trust the old ways. There is a huge level of distrust when it comes to politicians, people who are sort of like in the elite, you know, the people that are mostly in control of everything when it comes to countries and these different hierarchies and the way things go in certain countries. There is a huge level of distrust from the people, the everyday Joes and Janes. You know, we are starting to discover that we are in control and we have a lot more power than what we think we do. And we are no longer able to trust what it is that we are being told and what it is that we need to be doing. So usually when it comes to, let's say, just a typical country, there is usually just a few people at the top in that 1% that are in control. And mostly everyone does what those people say, which is fair enough. I mean, it's easy to be manipulated if they're from people that are higher up and have certain titles. But if you've been noticing lately, we are starting to not actually trust and second guess what those people are actually saying to us. Now, one of the huge countries that has a lot of distrust around it at the moment is the one that has actually made this actually happen, this whole global scenario we're going through right now. And there's a lot of distrust with that country in particular because of how much information they have been withholding. And people are starting to wake up and realize that sometimes you just can't trust what these people are saying. And these old ways are now starting to crumble. We are now taking things into our own hands. Now, I'm not saying that you should distrust everything and distrust everyone who's sort of higher up. That's not what I'm saying. But to second guess and to do your own research, that's a huge thing that people are doing right now. And it's a sign that the Great Awakening has begun because people are doing their own research. You know, they're not taking everything at face value. We are no longer taking everything as final. We are looking up, we're researching to see what is true and what isn't true, and to look at different trends to see if it's actually happening or if it's not happening. You know, these are things that has started to happen because of this Great Awakening. We are starting to actually do our own research. And it's a very smart and intelligent thing to not trust everything that your government says. And it's a very intelligent thing to do to actually do your own research. When a politician or someone who's quite high up, someone who's elite, it's very clever to second guess them and to actually do your own research and find out what is actually true. And that's what people are doing. The old ways are crumbling and we are starting to take back our own power and do our own research. The second sign that this Great Awakening has begun is we are also no longer starting to trust the media. There is a huge manipulation around the media right now. And to be honest, there probably has been for quite some time, quite a huge number of years. And again, we are no longer starting to trust it. That's one of the signs that we as a collective consciousness, a collective group of people around the world, we are no longer starting to trust everything that the media says, because we know that they are just doing these sort of things and giving you these titles and putting these certain images on newspapers and using certain language and words in order for you to buy their papers, in order for you to click on their pages. That's what they're doing it for. They are clickbaiting us. They are not actually giving us the full picture. They are giving us what we want to hear, or they're giving us just some dramatic story so we can actually just read it and take it on, but it's not actually always the truth. And again, one of the signs is that we are actually doing our own research. We are diving into things and not taking things completely 100% seriously when we are told something. One of the things that we know and realize, and it's actually been around for ages, that there's only a few like people who are actually in control of all of the media, okay? And when there's only a select group of people in control of such a huge thing, they can manipulate us to believe whatever they are saying, you see. But we are now realizing this, fully realizing this, and deciding to do our own research on certain events that are happening across the world, certain events that have happened in the past, certain events that might happen in the future. It's good to go to different sources and actually find the truth. And that's what we are finally doing. The third sign that the Great Awakening has begun is people are making their own choices and their own decisions on certain things. Every day you have a choice not to listen to the negative stories that are being put out by the media. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be informed, but if you are to inform yourself, then make sure that you go to a different number of sources so you can actually find what is true. And also what you need to be very careful of is when you're actually consuming news and stuff from the media, you need to make sure you are aware of how you are feeling. If you are reading something and it's making you feel a lot of fear, that is the time to stop. Being fearful, being angry, those are energies that are very low vibrationally, and they don't make you feel good. You want to make sure that you are in control of your emotions, because if you're not in control of your emotions and the media is controlling your emotions by sending out all these negative signs and signals, you need to be very careful, because if you stay in those states, you're not going to be able to be doing the things that you need to be doing in a very productive way. You won't be happy. You need to make sure that you guard. I think it was Jim Rohn that said that you need to guard the doors to your mind, or the gates to your mind, or something like that. Because if you let something in and it's negative, it's just going to stew and make you feel bad. It's going to make you feel horrible. It's going to affect your health. It's going to do all sorts of things. It's going to make you depressed. You know, you don't want to let those things in. But what I'm also saying is you want to make sure that you're informed, but you don't need to let it in. You don't need to let it into your psyche. You don't need to let it into your emotions. You need to be in control. And I think that's one of the signs that this Great Awakening has begun. People are noticing how they feel when they watch the news, when they listen to certain things. You know, you need to be very aware of your energy and how it's making you feel, because those things affect everything. It affects your health, it affects your mental well-being, it affects your body, it affects your lifestyle, it affects everything. It affects your relationships as well. The fourth sign that the Great Awakening has begun is you're becoming more spiritual. People are becoming much more in tune with their emotions and their energy. I guess this is like a follow-on from what I said before. People are noticing, you know, how they are feeling and what certain platforms make them feel bad and what makes them feel good, what makes them feel hopeful, what makes them feel in despair. I mean, there's two ways you can look at a certain situation. You can look at it with hope, or you can look at it with anger and fear and despair. But once you look at something through those hope sort of colored glasses, things don't seem as bad. And I feel like that is one of the huge signs that this Great Awakening has begun. People are noticing and paying attention to what makes them feel good and what makes them feel bad. The fifth sign the Great Awakening has begun is we are beginning to realize that we are being kept in the dark about certain situations that are going on in the world. We are not being given the full information. We are not being given the whole truth. And we know this, we recognize this. We are starting to realize that we are being kept in the dark a lot of the time. And one of the big signs that this has actually happened is, of course, when I refer back to the country that started this whole thing. You know that they kept this in the dark from the rest of the world for quite some time. And we are starting to realize that when it comes to certain things, we are being kept in the dark, and they are usually very important things. But we can enlighten ourselves. We can find out what these things are if we dive into it and do the research, which a lot of people are doing. We are not trusting everything that is being said to us. There are things that are being hidden from us. And we are finally starting to realize what those things are. We are finally doing the research, noticing our emotions, being in control. And that's what we are doing right now. We are starting to take back control of our lives, of our mental energy, our emotional energy, and our health. The sixth sign that the Great Awakening has begun is the whole picture, basically. The fact that we are no longer trusting those elite few at the top. And because we won't, and we decide to do our own research, and we don't just believe everything that is handed to us, those sort of old ways will now start to crumble, and from it we will actually be getting the full scope. Someday soon we will actually get news outlets, we will get articles, we will get things delivered to us and shown to us that are actually the whole truth. And that's something I believe that will happen. Perhaps not immediately, but it will happen definitely within this Great Awakening. And after this Great Awakening has occurred, we will finally get everything through facts, through blatant, in-your-face facts. And that's what we are searching for. And that's one of the signs that the Great Awakening has begun. We no longer want clickbait. We no longer want things manipulated to sort of give off a certain picture. We want the full facts. And once this Great Awakening has fully happened and we are past this, that is when I believe that we will be getting the full, absolute, concrete picture. And we won't be in the dark any longer, because we are sick of it. We are sick of being left in the dark, for not being able to know which news outlet we can trust. We are sick of it all. We're sick of being kept in the dark. We are sick of being manipulated to believe a certain way when it's actually a completely different way altogether. And these are the signs, the 6 signs that the Great Awakening has begun. And I implore you to do your own research. Whenever you're given a piece of information, please do your own research so you can get the whole context of a situation, okay? Make sure that you don't let anything affect your energy, don't let anything affect your mental well-being, because once you let those things affect you, it affects every different area of your life. It affects your body, it affects your mental health, it affects your relationships, it will affect everything if you allow it to. So make sure that you are in control of your energy, in control of your mind, and therefore in control of your life and your destiny. So thank you very much. My name is Christine Loveridge, and I've been talking about the 6 signs that the Great Awakening has begun. On this channel, I talk about manifesting, the law of attraction, self-reliance. I talk about relationships, dating and pickup for all genders, and ways that you can improve your life and to become a much happier person. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, then please subscribe, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.